Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are to episode 121 of Flipping Houses for Rookies. I really messed that up this morning, didn't I?
Don't worry about it, Bill.
Let's do that again. All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Good morning, Bill. Episode
121.
Wow.
How are you, Peter?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just fine?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad for you this morning.
Gee, what
You
happened?
got a great haircut. You said your wife didn't even notice it. Don't
Nope.
you hate that?
No, it's not a great haircut. I said to the guy, I walked into a barbershop for the first time in my life.
Which, mind you, this is a big deal because his
Yeah.
father was a barber for like 150 years.
And still never listened to me. Like, I want it like this, like that. What's with barbers? Excuse me. You tell them exactly what you want. They go, zing, ring,
they do what they want anyways.
Ring. I want to leave it along, okay? Yeah, ring,
Hey, I
ring.
know
How's
some
that?
investors like that. The seller tells them what they want. They just do whatever the hell they think they should do anyways. They don't listen.
People don't listen. So, like, that one's off the list.
All right. So today we have a special podcast, Peter.
We do.
I think so. I'm really excited about this. I'm like really, really excited about this.
You get to talk to someone else besides me.
Yeah. And a stay-at-home mom. I
Yeah.
really like this part.
Yeah.
I mean, she is a dynamite chick, man. I really like this girl. So the name of the podcast is interview with stay-at-home mom who flips one house and banks a full year salary.
Bang, and I saw it all happen. It was fab.
It was unbelievable.
It was so fab.
She kept reporting in, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? And it's not that she did anything special, and we're going to talk about that. It's that she just followed the system that you and I use.
Yeah.
And it just went bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
You know, and she's tenacious, man. She's like, you know, when she gets something in her head, it's like it gets done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the description I wrote for the podcast guys, right? Because today we're still on Facebook, but we're shooting an interview in BeLive.com.
Right.
So you're going to be able to see her and us. We have some new software we're using. So if we have any kind of technical glitches, then I apologize. But we'll figure it out. That's what we have Emma for. So the description is, think you need lots of time, money, or special training? Listen to what Randi, the stay-at-home mom, did in about 4.5 months to make her whole year's salary in the bank. She has it in the bank. She can open up her account and look at it. Okay. Plus, or spend it. Maybe she spent it. I don't know.
Oh, spend some of it.
I don't think so. Plus, she has 3 other deals in the pipeline, and that once done is expected to bring in probably 3.5 years worth of income. I did some math, and I don't know. We'll have to make sure that I'm doing this correct, but I think it's about 3.5 years worth of income in about 1 year. And she's probably going to like kick my ass for saying this, or her husband is, but her husband's salary, I think she's going to outdo her husband's salary substantially.
I wish my wife would outdo my salary. What's wrong with that?
And in this episode, we're going to get the reality on how anyone in any situation at any time can actually take control of their life and win back time while earning truckloads of money. So let's bring on Randi.
Yeah.
Let's get her here. And let's
Randy
chat
with an
her.
I.
Randy with an I, yeah.
She's a girl.
And unless of course you're me and you can't get it straight, I tend to call her Brandy too often, and she kicks my ass for it, which she should, because by now I should know her name, but I still do it.
How are you guys?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
You're
If
in
you get
Starbucks?
if you get too much background noise, just let me know. But yeah, I'm in a Starbucks.
Yeah, no problem. We're
On
making
the
it. So I kind of gave you a little bit of an intro there, and I kind of sneaked out a little bit of your fame there. But I think what I'd like to do is, before we start, just kind of tell us about you. I mean, you're a stay-at-home mom, you know, not kind of like before your real estate career, like what you did. I know you had, in fact, I'm not even sure I know the full story. You had a job before that. And,
I did.
Yeah. So just kind of tell us about that just real quick. Like, you know, what made you quit the job and what it was like when you did.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a 7-year-old girl and a 3-year or 4-year-old now, 4-year-old boy. And when I basically started out, I've always been in sales, um, in the home improvement industry, believe it or not. My family has a floor covering business, and I worked there for many, many years. And then I branched out and went to sell floor covering for a manufacturer. So I was traveling the entire state of Connecticut and parts of Massachusetts. At the time, my son was just about a year old, and I was, he was in daycare. My daughter was in preschool at the time, and it got to be a little tough. They were exposed to everything and anything in school. And as a mom, anyone who's listening that's a mom can understand how difficult it is when you're getting called from your job to come pick up your children because they're sick. They have viral this and viral that. It started to get a little crazy, and I couldn't focus on my job. It got to be very difficult, and I quit my job. And it was a really tough decision that we made, but
I'm going to say you're not that type of person that just does something like quick like that. I'm sure there was lots of conversation and lots of math and lots of something because that's you.
It was really, really hard. My husband wanted me to, you know, do anything I needed to do to keep my sanity. And right at that point, my sanity was gone. I was always worried about my kids, and sorry about that little barista back there making all that noise. But we had a really tough time, and he struggled too. When it wasn't who I was to stay home. I never, ever, ever, ever expected to not be in sales, to not support myself, to not, whether husband or not. It was just who I am. And Bill, you know that as well.
Yes.
So flash forward about a year and a half, 2 years, I started getting antsy. I started trying to sell fitness and nutrition packages. I got my personal trainer certification. I thought I'd train people from a fitness level. I was certified to do that. And you know what? $30 a session for a half hour, an hour. People wanted to train at 5 a.m. I had kids. How am I going to do that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So nothing was working and nothing fit the kind of money that I was making before I quit my job. I had, to be upfront and transparent. I was making about $80,000 a year. So to leave that behind and replace that was next to impossible, being a mom at the same time.
So you had an $80,000 job, but no life.
Correct.
Yeah. So you had to give up, your kids' health and not being at home taking care of them and having attention on them while you're working for the 80 grand.
And my daughter was about to go to school. She was about to go to kindergarten, and I didn't really know how to explain to her, although she had a lot of friends that was going to be in the same situation, that you take the school bus to aftercare, and you can't do Girl Scouts, and you can't do this activity, and you can't do that activity because you have to go to aftercare. So that was something I was battling with at the same time. I wanted her to be able to do the after school art program. I wanted her to be able to do the 4 o'clock Girl Scouts program. I wanted her to do all the things that kids should be able to do if there was a means of being able to do it. So I wanted to find those means and I couldn't. I was trying to do personal training. Told my husband I was going to open up my kitchen and go to people's houses and start cooking for them because, I could do nutritional meal prep for them, and a whole bunch of other can of worms opened with that. And nothing was going to be able to replace that $80,000 a year and give me a life that I could also have with my children.
Good. So how did you kind of come up with the idea of real estate? How did that come into play?
So, let's check this charger here. So I'm going to keep talking, but I'm going to bend down here for a second. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, there we go. So real estate was always something I wanted to get involved in. I said, let me get my real estate license, and I love to show people houses. I love to scour Zillow, and I love to do all the things that real estate agents do.
You think is real estate investing, right?
Exactly. So you know what? Let me possibly think about being an agent. And then I said, well, how is that going to work? Because when my kids have softball practices on Saturday mornings, and my son has, whatever it might be, or we want to go on our boat all summer on Saturdays and Sundays, how am I going to show houses to everybody that needs to look at houses on Saturdays and Sundays? Again, interfering with family time. So where's the family life that I was looking for? So that wasn't going to work. So then we had a friend that bought a house, flipped it, and made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Oops. She's like, ding, 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 ding. You made how much?
Well, he made a lot of mistakes along the way, and he didn't have the knowledge or the will. He didn't have the right people around him to help him do it properly.
Okay.
So he went in, so our fear of doing something like this, number one, we didn't have the resources because we didn't know the people. We didn't have anyone to help us learn how to do it. So we said, there's no way we could do it. It's just not possible. How do we get money for it? How do you get capital for it? How do you buy houses? How do you do all this? So we went over and over and over again, and he went and did it. And he made a lot of mistakes, like I said, along the way, and he still made money. And we went, if he can do it, I can do it. So if he can do it, I can do it.
This is a friend of yours.
This is a friend of ours.
He's telling you the blow by blows as it's going, right?
Exactly. And we're like, I just don't know why we're not doing this. So that's when we started getting online, and we started going through meetup.com, and we started listening to podcasts, and we started getting all this information. And hey, look, there's this guy on these podcasts that's looking for private coaching clients. Maybe that'll help us. And oh, there's this meetup in Wallingford. Maybe that'll help us. Like all these things we started finding, and you just kept popping up.
Thank you. I didn't know that. That makes me feel good this morning.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Bill, they don't just fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
No, they don't just fall out of the sky. So that's when we met you. So I'll let you take it from there.
Well, you came to a meetup, right?
We did. We came. Like I said,
that was our first encounter.
That was our first encounter. Correct. So Sean, my husband, is he's a medical device rep. So he's driving all over the state as well. And he's in the car, and he's just listening to podcast after podcast after podcast. And he's telling me, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to that. I said, oh yeah. Between picking up the toys and telling our kid to stop running and screaming and yelling. Yeah, I'm going to listen to these podcasts. I'll get right on it.
I could hear her saying that too.
Ouch.
So I said, why don't you just keep listening to those podcasts? And oh man, it was some comical interactions going on in our house. So so he kept listening to these podcasts, and then he said, you know what, let's go to this meetup. So we found a babysitter, and I'm not sure if you remember the meetup that we went to.
I remember it like it happened last night. Here I am in the front of the room, and it was probably about, I don't know, there was about 15 or 18 people there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get up there and I like scan the room like I normally do. Now, you know, Peter, as well as I do, that I've done a lot of lectures, and I've done not only for the housing business, but for, I do stuff for the church, and being in front of a room is not a problem for me. Okay. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what the hell was that? Like my attention units get like stuck, and I scan the room again and they hit her. And then she asks a bunch of questions, right? And we're almost like having a conversation, just her and I. And then you leave that. We closed the meetup that night, and I said to Pete, I said, who is that chick, Randi or whatever? who was that? You got her information?
Well, and you probably thought I was throwing you a whole bunch of baloney when I was like, we got to go. I got a babysitter at home. We got to go. And we literally did. And she had to go to school the next day. So, I have these like 11-year-old babysitters that got to go to school the next day.
Oh, geez.
11 years old.
Ooh.
Oh, you child laborer. You.
I know. So they got to get up for school the next day. So I was like, I got to go. I got to get out of here. So we left. You probably thought you'd never hear from us again.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And then I think we called you a few days later and had a long conversation with you. So.
Yeah. And it really surprised me because, usually I could call it, and I knew that it was going to be about you doing the work. But honestly, unless it's happening and I don't know it, I thought your husband would be more involved.
So he is.
It seems like he's involved with the construction, and you seem to do the rest of it.
He is involved with the construction. I am hands-on all the time. He is doing he listens to podcasts all day long. So he's doing a lot of the back-end research on where to get leads, how to get leads, where to find houses. He's doing a lot of that while I'm running the projects. I make the phone calls when phone calls need to be made. And I'm doing the accounting end of things too for the business. But yeah, he's involved in the construction aspect of it, but he's also involved in the educational part of it, learning how to advance in this field, how to get to the next level. We all know that education is something that you can't stop. I mean, you just have to keep learning and learning and learning. And learning through experience is the best way to learn. So he is doing that all the time. I'm the one that is
the hammer.
The vocal part of the team.
The hammer. You're the one that talks to everybody and gets them to do stuff.
Yeah, but he is a lot more involved than you think he is. He is all day, every day on this, but he does have a very intense job. So, and right now that's guaranteed income.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I remember. And I don't know how much of this you remember, but I remember, well, first of all, you came into the coaching group. And when you did, I made you a deal so you can get a hold of my How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course.
Correct.
And you absorbed that in a week.
Yes.
Went in through and listened to the videos. And, not that I'm trying to pitch me because I'm not trying to do that, but how was that course? Was it easy to do or was it not easy to do?
No, it was easy. It was quick. It was
understandable.
Very understandable. It went through all the major points that you need to know to feel confident to move to the next step and be active.
So you kind of absorbed that in about a week, and you jumped on the phone and started calling for sale by owners.
Correct.
And then a couple times we spoke, not many, but a couple times we spoke, and you had some questions about how to handle some objections or rebuttals. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of cleared that up a little bit, and you just kept going.
Yes.
It wasn't that hard. It wasn't, or was it hard? I don't know.
It was scary. It was scary, but anything's scary. The first day you start a job is scary. The first day moving to a new house, finding out you're pregnant, everything in life is scary. So, if it wasn't, you wouldn't be normal. But I want you to know,
Randy, if I found out I was pregnant, I would be scared shitless myself too, all right? Just teasing you. I got the belly for it. I look pregnant all the time, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's you can only get going if you try. And it's like somebody says, the way I always feel is when I go somewhere and there's a whole bunch of people around me and my kids are screaming and yelling, you know what? I don't know them. They don't know me, and I'll never see them again. So what does it matter? What they see. So when I got on the phone and I started calling those people, I said, what the hell? I'm never going to talk to them again. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. what's the harm in having this conversation? Even if I eat my words, if I vomit all over the table while speaking, whatever happens. I might buy a house. That's the only thing that's going to happen.
And lo and behold, like within a week, I think it was. I mean, it wasn't very long. It was like within a week you found this first deal, right?
It was quick. So I had gone onto the for sale by owners on Zillow, and I made a list of like 20 houses to call. And I'm in there.
The course told you to do that.
Made the list, and I just started calling. I got hung up on. I got no answers. I got a lot of, I left messages, and I saw 3 days later that somebody took their for sale by owner off the Zillow. So I noticed, okay, maybe they decided not to sell it anymore, and they started getting calls, so they would take the listing down. Or I would speak to someone and they'd be like, well, what do you want from me? Or I'd have a great conversation with someone. So I was sitting in the office and I'm making all these calls, and Sean is sitting in the living room or in the playroom, and he's like right across the room, and he's scrolling through Zillow, and he's like, hey, what about this one? And I'm like, oh, I didn't catch that one. What is that? And he goes, well, $150,000 house. It's right in Newtown. It's right down the road. What do you think? And I said, wow, that's a pretty ugly house. Pretty gross. But that's perfect. Let's give it a shot.
We have a new word, Peter. So now we have to say gross houses instead of ugly houses.
Gross.
It was
remember that one? Gross.
It was gross. So I called her and I spent a couple minutes on the phone with her. And we set up an appointment, and I went out and we looked at the house. And we asked her all the questions that the course told us to ask, what's the least amount you would take for the house? And for me to buy your house today, what's the least amount of money you would take? Or in the realm of that. And she said 125. And I said, okay, you had it listed for 150. Sounds good. Let's,
She said that on the phone.
She said that on the phone before we went out.
Just by using the script that we gave you.
Yep.
You took her from 150,000 on the phone to 125,000.
Correct. Yep.
And then we talked.
And we put 3 different deal structures together. And we went to the house and took a look at it. And we presented 3 offers to her, and she told us she would think about it, and we left without a deal. And we were a little upset. I don't know if you remember that.
You're like, it didn't work. And I'm like, no, it'll be fine.
And we recorded it too, and you listened to it. And Sean and I literally, I mean, not literally, obviously, but we pretty much attacked her.
Yeah, that interview was not good. And that's what my point is that when I listen to it, I'm like, what? No way.
But again,
it wasn't smooth.
And even if you're going to mess up your words and say something wrong, and you still might walk away with a deal.
if you have a motivated seller, none of that stuff matters.
Exactly. And that's what happened with us. So we did the 3 different structures, 3 different deals. I don't know what you want me to say about those deals.
Well, which one? She took the cash offer.
She took the cash offer. It was the lowest of the 3, and she took the cash offer for 105.
Okay, so she was at 150, went to 125 on the phone, and in the house took 105.
Correct.
But not only did you just take 105, she also told you this was like a good deal for her, right? I mean, she was excited about it, wasn't she? She
was excited about it. She told us she had a couple other offers in the 70, 80, 90 range. We found out later on what those offers were. They were from people in the neighborhood, and they were just people in the neighborhood. They saw what was going on with the house and the history of the house.
Trying to steal it.
They were trying to steal it, literally. I mean, they knew she wasn't living there anymore. They knew that she was in distress. She had some major personal problems going on. So they tried to steal it. And I still feel good about that house till this day. I feel like I did somebody right. And I did myself right as well,
Sure. So you bought it for 105.
Mm-hmm.
What did you sell it for? Now this is a lake community, right? So you converted the house from like a 3-season type of a house, or a lake
No,
house
it was a full season house. It was a 4-season. It was a regular house, but it was in some major disrepair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We sold it for $299,900.
Nice.
We hit a little bumps along the way.
Come on, little bumps. Now wait a minute. I know we're like at the end of the
No,
podcast.
it wasn't
here.
bump. It was something else.
Peter, do you see how she?
It
did
wasn't
that?
a bump.
We hit a little
was
bump. Yeah. So
something more in the category of wind.
Yeah. Go ahead, Peter.
Something closer to wind. Randy, how long was it after you closed that your house had a little accident?
A tornado going through it.
A tornado.
She closed at noontime, and 4:00 that afternoon, a tornado. She calls it a sunburst or something, but it was a tornado because that's what it said on the news. A tornado goes through the house and crashes trees on the house and practically destroys the house. Right?
It didn't just crash trees on the
deal.
house. It crashed a $15,000 tree on the house that my tree trucks were in the yard and ready to take it down the next day.
So she bought the house, had the tree guys there. The trucks were in the yard. They couldn't start that day. They waited till the next day, and here comes the wind, the tornado.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry, I have to laugh. It's funny now. It wasn't then.
It wasn't, but you know what? It was a blessing. We wouldn't have been able to get $299 for it without a brand new roof. We wouldn't have been able to get $299 for it without adding the master bathroom that we added because of the structural changes that had to be done with the damage from the tree. So there were things that ended up happening that was good in the end because of the tree.
And I remember that phone call because I remember telling you that like calm down. She was like, "Rah!" Like calm down. And what I have found is in any catastrophe, when a catastrophe comes through, you'll get back double or triple good thing. Because Mother Nature's like that. It'll just fix it.
Correct.
That's exactly what happened, right? You got insurance money?
Yeah.
So, Randy, when you get insurance, do you recommend getting the wind insurance too?
It was $50 a month more for the wind and hail policy. And
we do that now. It's a policy in my place that we do that now because of your deal.
Yeah, that was definitely a big thing. I mean, it was a $30,000 insurance payout. I mean, there was some serious damage that happened there.
Right.
So that was interesting. Good. And we were able to flip the house in 60 days. We got it on the market in 60 days, and it got an offer in 8 days. So that was kind of nice. Yeah.
Good. So you willing to share what you made for a stay-at-home mom profit?
Well,
that's what it is.
Well, I think she just smiled it.
You don't have to share with us, but you gave us enough.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. I mean, hey, they do it on all the HDD TV shows, right? So, so we were able to walk away, obviously pre-paying our taxes for 2018, with a $90,000 profit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good
That's
job,
not
Randy.
Bad. Well done. Your first deal.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of that, you have like 3 other deals in the pipeline, right?
Yep. So we have another house that we actually have. Yesterday was the buyer's inspections. That was also a flip house.
You bought it, renovated it, and now you're selling it.
Bought it, renovated it, and selling it. It was on the market for 12 days, and we had an offer for that. We purchased that house for $80,800.
The 800. We talked about that for 3 days.
Yeah. $80,800. I told her I would pay as the seller, as the buyer, I would pay the conveyance tax.
Yeah.
So 80,800, and we expected to list it for 145, and we ended up listing it for 165. And we got an offer for 162.5, and the inspections were yesterday, so we're waiting for the report to come back on that. After all our holding costs, financing costs, agent fees and whatnot to sell the house, we'll walk away, as long as we don't have to do any more negotiations with them on the inspection, and everything goes well, we'll walk away with $41,000 profit on that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you have another deal.
Yep. So we have another deal.
Purchased.
We purchased that house on October 5th, I believe, somewhere right around there, October 4th. That was also a storm damage house that was left vacant. The seller reached out to me and asked me if I wanted a house. It was through social media.
Oh, come on, social media. Come on, tell the truth.
Or the Moms Club. Okay. The Moms Club.
Never heard of it. I've been marketing for my whole life, and I didn't know you could buy houses through the Moms Club on Facebook.
Through the Moms Club. Yep. So through the Moms Club. That house is, we are almost done with it. We had a lot of structural damage on that. It was another tree that went through the house on the same
Was
store.
the same tornado?
Same tornado.
A different neighborhood.
Different neighborhood, yep. And we rebuilt all those walls and got everything going on that one. And sheetrock is up right now. Floors are going in next week.
Hang on. She gets right into this is Randy. She gets right down to the brass tacks.
Get to work, Randy.
Right
Get to work.
Right to the bottom line.
Get to work.
What did you do for that family that you bought the house? The tornado happened.
Yeah.
They left the house the same day, packed their car up, and went to Texas, and the house sat vacant. What did you do for that? I know we're out of time right now, but
Yeah.
what did you do for that?
Pretty quickly.
That letter I read, it makes you want to weep. I mean, it was amazing.
It really, so they had a restoration company come in that they hired. They had their own little contract with them. It wasn't, hired out by the insurance company, and they got burned pretty bad. And this guy left all their belongings to get soaking wet, let the house flood. He didn't cover it properly. He didn't tarp it properly. He didn't do anything that he was supposed to do. And he was just looking for more money. And they ended up having to fire him. And when they fired him, ServPro then came in and finished the demolition, or I should say remediation, of the house. But through all of it, I kept checking on the house, and I kept saying it's not being taken care of. It's not being taken care of. So that's when they eventually fired the original restoration company and hired ServPro in, and everything was being taken care of. But, we talked about a bunch of different ways of approaching this situation and buying this house. And
well, it was, you said that prior to the hurricane, like a week before the hurricane, they were
closed
a week later for like $430,000, right?
410 actually. But 410, they were supposed to close for 410. And then the storm hit and the closing fell through. So they were already packed up. And
how much did they owe? It was like
386 something. And it's a VA loan. So he was in a bad situation with that. He couldn't move on with his life in Texas the way he wanted to without satisfying this loan.
That's because with VA, you can only have one loan at a time. And it was on this house in Connecticut that was destroyed, and he wanted to buy a new house in Texas where they had to transfer it to.
My battery's pretty charged.
Okay.
I'm quickly just going to go sit outside because it's pretty nice out and there's no noise.
Okay. Well, we're almost done anyway, so we'll let you go in a few minutes. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that had you not come along,
yes,
what would the house would have probably went to foreclosure, right? I mean, you and I worked quite a few conversations to figure out how to make this work.
Exactly. It was a really tough situation for him. He spoke to me so many different times, and he said, Randy, he goes, if you can make this work for $200,000, that's what I need to make this house go away, because at this point, I have nothing else to leverage. I have no one else to borrow money from. So I could sell you this house for $175 or $150 or whatever it is you want to buy it for, but I'm still going to be left with this loan that I can't pay off. So if I'm going to go foreclose on it that way, why am I going to, I have no other options. So I bought the house. I did my due diligence. I was in that house with every contractor I have, checking to see if that 200,000 was going to work. I was afraid that the numbers weren't right, but I wanted to do right by this family and help them out and help myself out too, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I knew there was some money in this house if I could just make it happen. But I wanted to do my due diligence in pricing out the renovations on it because there was a lot going on there.
And he allowed you to go in the house with all these contractors. I mean, it was totally
Yes.
carte blanche. He
Yep.
knew you were helping him. You were not trying to rob him.
Exactly. And then one of the days that I was in the house, I found a piece of paper on the table. And the piece of paper on this table was a mechanic's lien. And the mechanic's lien was from the previous restoration company that he fired. He told me, he swore to me, he said, Randy, I checked, my attorney checked, there's no mechanic's lien. He's just threatening me with it. He's just trying to get me to pay his money. He didn't file it. It's not filed. And I said, all right. And he wasn't lying to me. It wasn't filed. So we drew up the contracts and we're about to close and go buy the house and sign the papers and buy the house. And I said, you know what? This is September 8th. And I said, we started this back July 15th. I said, let me just go to the town hall and make sure that this mechanic's lien hasn't been filed. And he said, okay, no problem. So I go to the town hall and I pull it up on the computer. And 2 days prior to that, it was filed. And it was filed for $18,000. Now, I already stated that $200,000 was his completely leveraged. He had nothing left to put in the deal. So, we talked and he said, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to sue the guy. I'm out. I'm done. I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to foreclose on the house so he doesn't get a dime.
Yeah, because the $186,000 he's short was coming from the insurance company wasn't paying all that. He had savings he was putting in, right? So it was your money, the insurance money, and his money to make the deal work, right?
And he still had no idea because his belongings were soaking wet in the house and waiting to go into a pod in the yard. He had no idea how much they were giving him for personal belongings too. So he's in Texas with nothing, living off of his family. So he still had to buy furniture and everything like that. So, so he was completely leveraged. So, I called you, I asked for your advice. We talked about it. And I ended up calling this restoration company and,
the right words. Scripted.
Yep. And I said that I was a friend of Adam's and that we just wanted to try to make this go away so he doesn't have to foreclose on the house, because bottom line is if he forecloses on the house, you get nothing and he gets nothing and everyone just goes on with their life. And we ended up talking him down to like 14 or 15, down from the 18. And that included some money that the insurance company owed him that Adam hadn't released yet. So Adam said, he goes, Randy, I literally probably have like $3,000 to my name that I could borrow from my mom to make this all go away. And I said, okay. So he's like, I got the $5,000 that the insurance company's holding up. I got $3,000. So however the numbers ended up working out, I worked another $3,000 into my deal. And I said, at $2,000, I went back to my numbers and I said, can I squeeze another $3,000? I said, yes, I can squeeze another $3,000. I said, Adam, I'll pay $3,000 at the closing and make the lien go away. You pay the rest. I'll pay $3,000 of it. And we ended up getting the house. And I mean,
so you ended up paying $203,000.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And we're almost done with the project. I am $10,000 below budget.
Good girl.
And we're getting
3,000's nothing now, right?
Correct. I may have a buyer.
Nice.
I have signs out on the property outside, like real estate signs looking the same style that says coming to market soon with our logo and our phone number. And I've had calls on it. I've posted it on social media. And I think I have a buyer, and it was appraised for $410 when they were going to closing before. I don't know what it'll appraise for now, but it will appraise higher than that. So I will get above the 410, which is where I based all my numbers off of. So it was a good deal, and it's probably going to be an $80,000 or $90,000 deal.
Good girl.
Yeah.
So you had a $90,000 deal, a $40,000 deal, and now another $90,000 deal.
Yep. And I was at septic inspections this morning, and I'm working on another deal that's another $50,000 deal.
Right. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So that'll all happen by March. Was it hard? No, it's not.
Once we got started, once we got through the fear factor, right?
It was a
got you
complete
through
fear factor. Yes.
Yeah. And gave you that how to buy real estate without a loan is an amazing course. I'm not saying it because I created it. I'm saying it because these are stories I hear all the time.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is you would think that I picked Randi because she's like my star best student, which she's definitely. What do you think, Peter? Top of the line,
Poster child.
Yeah, but the coaching group that we have, it's not just you doing that. There's other people doing the same thing.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we talk every Monday night on a coaching call, and these are the things we talk about is these deals. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I know that we speak during the week, but lately it's not that much. You're kind of like going on your own. You're self-propelling at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely, you take what you learn and you put it to work.
Yep.
But you can't be afraid to put it to work. And that's what I made a promise to myself, and, that I was going to invest in something like this and go out running. So
right. And the good thing is, and I'm pitching myself, but it's not really what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to get people to understand that really I'm just your safety net. Like when you get freaked out, we call, we talk, you call me, we talk, and just my experience helps us get through whatever the situation is.
Correct.
And it's just not as hard as it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
because the problem in doing this is you're not sure if something is a problem.
Right.
You're not sure if it's a concern.
Right.
You don't know if you should be worried about something.
Right.
And you're my safety net, obviously, because I'm sitting right next to you. And I can imagine somebody without a mentor, somebody to talk to, they just don't know if they don't know.
Right.
Because you don't know. So with somebody to ask, like, don't worry about that. It's okay. We'll do this. We'll do that. Okay. And you just go on. Right. You don't worry about it. Otherwise, you're paralyzed.
Exactly. And at this particular point, Peter, you and I have, I'm going to kind of go off into a picture so we can end off because we're about 10 or 15, about 12 minutes past the 30-minute mark.
This was like a soap opera, though. I was riveted.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was
good stories, Randy.
So, but I'm pretty much familiar with him because she tells me, I'm with her blow by blow when we go through it. So, and she is amazing at confronting her fear. I mean, we talk about things, and once she's comfortable, she rocks. She just like, once she gets it straight in her head, she's like, I know this is something I don't want to do, but I'm going to do it. And she's amazing. That's why I love her so much, because she just does it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then she comes back and says, this is what happened, or that's what happened. Okay, let's do this and let's do that. And she's like, okay. And there you go.
Well, you can be afraid of doing something like this, but if I were you listening, I'd be more afraid of not doing something like this.
Right. And I think we lost her, and then she popped back up, I think. Yeah. So anyways, so we lost you for a minute. That's okay.
I know.
So we're gonna end off. So what I was going to say is there's a lot of things that we have, you and I have, Peter, that can help people. We just launched a brand new podcast. It launched on Halloween. It's called Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp. So if you go into your podcast platform and just type that in, you will find it. We are going to be releasing 2 shows a week, a show on Wednesday and a show on Friday. So you'll have plenty of information, free information from us, because our regular podcast is on Monday, and then the Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp will be released on Wednesday and on Friday. That Startup Bootcamp is a sequence of how you would get started in this business and do exactly what Randy's talking about. It's actually a sequence. Now, obviously, I can't teach you everything on that podcast, so we have connected with it a Facebook page that will give you plenty of support and help. So you can go check that out at flippinghousesforrookies.com/startup bootcamp. Also, we have just recently, last month, changed our website for the last time, I hope. Everything is in one place now, where before it was all scattered around. So if you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff, everything's there. How we do the deals that Randy's talking about. I have videos. I have all kinds of free paperwork and scripts and all kinds of stuff there that you can go check out. So go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/free stuff, and you'll be able to find it there. Randy, thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you for having me.
Mess up your swimming lesson time. I hope that you can still get there and do that. And I really appreciate it. And your husband, I'm really glad to have you guys in the coaching group and be part of my life, because you guys are just fantastic people. You have a great family, and you deserve every penny of money that you make. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So anyways, we're over and out. We'll see you you'll hear us next week. I don't know if you'll see us. You'll hear us. This week you got to see us. Next week you'll probably only hear us, but we'll talk next week. And don't forget about the new podcast. It launches on Wednesday. So it's Flipping Houses for Rookies /Startup Bootcamp. We've already launched it, and we've had amazing results already. So go ahead and check it out. All right. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.